Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to another live streaming at 4:30 of the European Individual Women's Chess Championship 2030. Today with us is Grandmaster Atalik who will, as usual, comment the games from the previous round for our spectators. So let's see what he has prepared for today.
Today is just the day before the free day, so I was using last times of my energy. I have enough of this, sure. I mean, in some way I'm joking, but there were some good games and bad games, as usual. Bad guys and good guys type of stuff. And then once the tournament goes deep, you will see that, not only how good you are prepared, but also how physically strong you are matters. And for this thing we will come back, but first I believe that, I don't know if anybody noticed that people have different tastes. For me, the best game of yesterday was Gaponenko against Kosteniuk. I really couldn't make it happen that the move Kosteniuk has played was performed ever in the opening, and I searched for some notes on different, databases which I have. I don't have the Kasparov's database. Maybe Mr. Nakamura can enlighten us about. But really, she came up with a very good conception, and also, I mean, women chess is great. I mean, they play very well. They play sometimes very bad, like anyone else. But usually in this tournament I couldn't have seen, just a real novelty, a real one. I really couldn't have seen. And this one is probably the first one. And the game was conducted really very well by former world champion Kosteniuk, queen of chess players. You were making the scanning, yes, for the new edition. And let's see. First of all, let's start. These days, it is very popular. The Panov attack. I mean, about the wording, I could have never understood. Is this a real attack? It's obviously a little bit nasty for black, but where is the attack? I mean, you imagine, like, with all this e5, knight c3, g4, these lines in the Caro-Kann, they are not associated with the word attack, but this one is, in this game, it became an attack. Just for the sake of completeness, this is a junction of variations. Black can play e6. Black can play g6, black can play knight c6, which has been chosen in this game. Obviously, white could have played knight f3. I cannot talk on behalf of Kosteniuk. There are many interesting things here, like bishop e6. Possibly e6 is not such a great move now because of c5. And this version of pawn advance to c5, I believe with the knight on c6 is dangerous for black. It's very difficult to handle these positions. People who know more about historical games would have remembered that Fischer had some problems to defend it against Ivkov, such a position. Bishop will be exchanged on c6, then bishop f4, knight e5. White has always some edge. And here the problem, if Kosteniuk comes to this game and white plays knight f3, bishop g4 comes, the real problem is the long line. And now comes the final touch. In the line. I don't know, it always comes one way or another, by different, with bishop g5 or without bishop g5 earlier, or in this position. This type of ending, with f6 or with, usually black wants to put the bishop on b4. If you do it in this way, possibly similar things happen. Black has to play bishop b4. It's very close to be equal. Now we got a world champion, so probably she wouldn't play like this. So she really is the one who is well prepared for all these ones. Now we will see with what she played is really a new conception, which would surprise a lot of people. And I believe she wouldn't play this kind of position. There is something, you know, with world champions. If she would have played like this, it's very easy game for white. Maybe white can squeeze, I don't know. Drev is a great expert of this position. I've never seen him losing to anyone in this position. And white doesn't have much an advantage, and black, with black to play this long string of moves, obviously not to the style of a world champion. Now let's go back. So Gaponenko, who is also a seasoned grandmaster, since you know, I played in the different parts of the world. I remember them when they were kids, but now they are really serious players for both worlds, you know, both for men's chess and both for women's chess. So now Gaponenko has chosen the other move, bishop g5. A choice is a choice. It's one of the most important moves. Once again, e6 is, for many reasons, is not the most correct one. So, black has taken on c4. And this is a pawn sacrifice, basically, as you see. h6 is included. All these are normal moves. I mean, it's obvious that white has compensation. White has jettisoned the pawn, has tremendous advantage in development, put every single piece into the game, but there is a theory, and usually in this position, you know, like black plays e5, white takes one of these ways. Can play knight f3, exchange, knight takes f3, g takes f3, bishop e6, slightly tactical move. If you go bishop b5, I can play knight d7. Now black looks like in dives trace because he takes f4, rook h1, game over practically. Rook takes e6 is very strong, but black has also counter-attack with g5. Peters out to have some equal position at that. I mean, people really tried those lines to the bone. Or they call it, you know, like, I mean, I don't want to call it a draw because there are many new ideas probably for people who really spend some time in this opening. It's really not to many people's taste to finish the game like this, just playing a lot of theoretical moves. But once again, let's take a little bit of a look. Another idea is f4, bishop g4. We looked at knight f3, gf3 with the idea to push f4 at some moment, obviously. And this is the other long line. f4, then bishop g4. So white continues with the sacrificial stuff. Bishop f3 is the correct capture. And once again, after the move rook c8, black has enough resources to hold the game. I mean, I tell it to hold because it looks at all of us probably in the room. It looks like white has some initiative for the sacrifice material, no? So f takes e5, rook takes c4, ef6, knight e6 back. Protecting crucial square. Ready for g5 and bishop b4. Also attacking laterally to our, I don't know if it's a strong bishop. So, and I cannot say much about all these theoretical lines, and there is also bishop g3. Just to take a look, the final look for. Then comes bishop e6. Immediately black gives the pawn back.
Just to develop all pieces and now.
Catches, yeah, catches in the development. So this is some sort of strategy. Nadezhda pointed out very well that gives the pawn back, completes his or her own development, catches up white, and we got a symmetrical position. I mean, it's everyone's game. Some way, if white's king would have been to the other side, probably it would have been better for him that he could try to use this f5 square maybe with knight g2. Now he has to tag the king to some part, you know, to b1. I mean, theoretically speaking, not so dangerous for black, but also not so dangerous for white. So after all, you know, this is not only a theoretical encounter, but also a game. We are a little bit, you know, too much delved into this theoretical fight. But once again, here comes the shock. I mean, how much of a shock? You people, you have to appreciate it. But really, instead of protecting the knight with e5, Kosteniuk played g5. And it's a novelty. Every time you see a novelty, you tell to yourself, you know, why I couldn't think about it? Why not me? Why I am not the first one to contemplate the move? And I believe that it's a good novelty. Just for all this time, nobody thought about it. And really, just how certain things are peculiar. One comes and brings some new flavor to some position, at least shakes the balance out of the opponent. I mean, imagine Gaponenko's situation. I don't know if she plays this gambit line always against, you know, this Caro-Kann setup in Panov. But if she really plays it always and studies it very well with e5, Now with g5, the principles of the play looks completely different. I'm not very happy about her first choice, you know, just the first move. I'm a little bit surprised. If you play this gambit line, to my understanding, you have to continue in the same way. So you have to really bring the bishop out. She exchanged these minor pieces. So now, obviously knight e6 will come. A tactical situation, probably she did calculate a little bit that bishop takes e6, yeah. Bishop takes e6. I mean, if e6 black will be obviously worse. Knight b5. Now if it's rook c8, there is knight c7, but what about changing the move order? And all of a sudden black is winning. So it's obvious that this line cannot work. But this is not the end of the world. Probably knight f3, just she had to play in this way. Now bishop d7 will be met by knight e5. And I mean, in my opinion, this is the way to play this position. I cannot say anything. I mean, probably Mrs. Kosteniuk knows more than anybody else in this world about this position. Since she has taken it, since she has prepared this novelty, she should also come up with all the bunch of ideas after this position. This is today's chess. In today's chess, you know, you see that you think about an idea, then you make it in some way, you try to make it happen using the help by the computers. Here, this position, they look a little bit normal for us. Many of us would have preferred maybe white. I personally like white's position, but there is probably some play. I mean, obviously not bishop d7, knight e5, maybe a6, a4, maybe to give this pawn. I cannot say anything. But also, I believe that this is the way to play with white. Because now what has happened? It's really interesting. I find white's play. She took, came too much forward, you know, like e5 came. And first of all, let's look at the position quantitatively. Black is a pawn up. Let's look at the position qualitatively, that black has two bishops. Only thing which compensates this is the initiative by white. But on the other hand, I mean, this is one of the positions things will happen, you know, in a forced way. If rook h4, rook b8, and where is the follow-up? So that's why maybe she has preferred rook d1. And why not rook d2? This is also a good question. Probably she was really surprised. She played rook d1 and white, after white's rook d1, black even played bishop g4. Now, if you intercept the line, comes rook c8. And obviously, this is very bad for white. This is also forced. This momentary pawn sacrifice in some way. Now it is easy to see that since king stepped to the d line, knight c7, rook c8, knight d5 check exchange, and rook d8 wins back the piece with interest. So black has to really leave this knight there and try to get something from the other side. And this is a very crucial moment for the game. We all know, like, the captures towards the center, they are important, and with some interesting choice, I would have preferred to take on h4. I don't want to claim any advantage, but for me, f5 square, and I would have felt a little bit more safe. It's not like, once again, I don't claim an advantage, because after knight h4, black also quickly brings the knight. Very, very quickly brings the knight to d6 square. Once again, tactics are abundant. And okay, this is safe for everyone. Something interesting, here, being the armchair general, not playing and criticizing everybody's game, all of a sudden I went 180 degrees, to the other side, and I said, like, it's important to be safe. I mean, let's not forget, chess players also, like many other things, they are control freaks, during the games especially. They want to play the things they know. It's very good to know many things, but also to choose among them certain things that to bring the game towards that is really an important issue. And here, at least you feel safe. The other one is self-dangerous. The other one is really self-dangerous. That's what I would like to say. So, knight takes e5, came rook d8, king e2, rook d4, rook e1, only move. If white wouldn't have seen this, she wouldn't go for the central pawn. I mean, I have to, and all of us, we have to respect these people, they are strong players. If having not seen rook e1, white would have resigned here. She would have in the terrible shape with hanging pieces. But on the other hand, she has really seen some a good move, obviously, wants to break the pawn structure or wants to make white to lose time. And essential question comes again, bishop or knight. I mean, I'm always for the bishop. I am for the bishop, I am for the bishop's pair. Certain things help my chess and also destroyed my chess understanding at the same time. I became more stereotypic person maybe earlier in the age with certain topics in chess. If you have read famous endgame book which was called like the Bible of chess, one of the Bibles of chess by Ruben Fine, Basic Chess Endings, there it is cited at some position like even the worst bishop so many times is better than the knight. And bishop is a long-range figure. So when it comes to the ending, can help his pawns.
Especially if they're in both flanks.
If they are distributed to both flanks, they can help his pawns, escort them. And also from some distance can tackle opponent's pawns. Which is which makes it a long-range particular, a really particular piece. In many positions here, you know, when you play the game, you really feel like, I mean, you may only lose this game with white. You play basically for 2 results, or somehow because of the centralization, somehow you will run away with it. And I mean, you will see. First of all, I really don't understand why she didn't go g4 here, because since she will lose pawns on the other wing, her pawns on the king side, they should be as advanced as possible. Because if
maybe she could have played g4 and then knight g1.
g1, she played with the same idea. I mean, obvious that she will play g3 or g4, followed by knight g1. But, you know, our aim is to exchange, you know, king side to stay in the game, even at the cost of losing a pawn. Actually, we are not weak. This is the strange thing about. Not only we are a pawn down on this wing, but if we get rid of from that wing, then maybe we can make a draw, because knight, okay, and pawn against 2 pawns and bishop, probably they can hold themselves. But the weakness of this part, the existence of this part, is to our disadvantage. And that's why, I mean, I'm a little bit critical about, but it's a tough position. And once again, I have to speak about great chess thinker Sergei Belyavinets, who got lost in the Second World War, who really said, like, don't hurry. This is one of these positions that, I mean, anyway, you will go to take this pawn. The bishop now, because of the colors, cannot reach to f2 at time. That's why king d5 suggests itself.